Good morning, friends. This morning, I thought about the fact that I miss seeing all of your faces so much, and I thought maybe it would be nice if you could see me while I read to you today. So, being on camera is not my favorite thing, but we'll give it a try. Today's book that I'm going to read to you is called The Beeman. So, The Beeman by Laurie Krebs. Bees. There wouldn't be sunflowers, wouldn't be peas, wouldn't be apples on apple trees if it weren't for fuzzy, old buzzy bees dusting pollen from off their knees. That poem is written by Aloud. Now, the Beeman. Here is my grandpa, who is known in our town as the Beeman. Here is his jacket with a tight-fitting hood that covers his face just the way that it should when he visits his hives as the Beeman. Here are his gloves made of cotton and leather, protecting his hands in all kinds of weather when he tends to his hives as the Beeman. Here is the beehive where all the bees sleep, tucked into a box called a shallow or deep, and then placed on a stand by the Beeman. Here is the smoker that calms the bees down, and a hive tool that opens the beehive with ease for a much closer look by the Beeman. Here is the queen bee who does her job well and lays tiny eggs in a 6-sided cell. She's the heart of the hive, says the Beeman. See the queen and all these little 6-sided cells. Here are the drone bees with big bulging eyes and a large appetite supporting their size. They mate with the queen, adds the Beeman. Look at all those bees. Here are the workers, 10,000 or more, who gather the nectar to bring back and store in honeycomb cells for the Beeman. Here are the house bees with swift-moving wings that dry up the nectar a worker bee brings, making honey for me and the Beeman. Here's the extractor. It's clickety-clack from frames on its rack and filling up jars for the Beeman. Look at all those jars. Those look a lot like the ones our honey comes in. Here's some of the honey returned to the hive. It's food for the bees to help them survive the long winter days near the Beeman. You see him taking honey back? Here are the bees protected from harm inside the hive, huddled, sheltered, and warm. So they'll be here next year, says the Beeman. Here's the wagon filled up to the brim with bottles of honey collected by him and brought to the house by the bee man. Here are the muffins, all warm and delicious, and dripping with honey on Grandma's best dishes. Grandma bringing the muffins. I'm glad that my grandpa's the bee man. That's the end of the story. And then these pages tell us a little bit more about bees. Bees belong to the insect family. They have 6 legs and 3 body parts: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. They have 2 pairs of wings, 2 antennae, and compound eyes that let them see in all directions. A bee begins as an egg placed in a tiny cell by the queen. The egg hatches into a worm-like creature called a larva. The larva changes to a pupa, and hidden inside the tiny cell, the pupa turns into a bee. There we go. See the changes? When it hatches, the bee is fully grown and ready to become a member of the colony. It takes about 3 weeks to go from being an egg to a bee. Bee colonies. Bees live in large groups called colonies. A colony of bees has 1 queen, several hundred drones, and tens of thousands of workers. The queen bee has a slender body and is longer than the other bees. She's also the mother of them all. Her job is to lay eggs. In spring's busy season, she lays between 1,000 and 2,000 eggs every day. Drone bees are male bees. They have huge black eyes and plump bodies. They don't work inside the hive or collect nectar and pollen. They mate with the queen. Worker bees are female and have many different jobs. Sometimes they feed the larva and tidy up the hive, or they create wax and use it to make new cells. Sometimes they groom the queen and give her a rich protein food called royal jelly. Or they protect the hive from enemies by standing guard at the entrance. Sometimes they leave the hive to gather nectar, pollen, or water. Their jobs depend on their age and what the colony needs them to do. I hope you guys enjoyed reading The Beekeeper today. Thanks for being here with me, and I hope it is sunny where you are and that you are creating and enjoying the day. Bye-bye, friends.